George Masvidal, what do you remember him for? Seriously, what do you remember him for? In my mind, the one and only thing that people remember about George Masvidal is the flying knee KO he did against Ben Askren. That was the most notable thing he's done in his career. He holds the record for the fastest knockout in UFC history. He had a knockout against Darren Till. He beat Nate Diaz for the first ever BMF title. But it was that knockout of Ben Askren that really propelled him to stardom. And today in this video, I'm going to be looking at other examples of fighters who are what I like to call one-hit wonders. They had one really amazing thing that they did in their UFC career, and the rest of it's kind of crickets. Not particularly interesting. Not particularly noteworthy. And so before I get into it, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps grow the channel. Another person on my list of one-hit wonders right now is Sean Strickland. Really and truly, the only performance you remember is when he came in and basically beat Izzy up, right? Didn't finish him, didn't KO him, but took you to a decision. That is the only memorable performance, and the only reason that is a memorable performance is because he was something like a plus 600 underdog. Nobody was expecting him to win, including Israel Adesanya. A lot of people were thinking that he was going to just go in there, he didn't really have to do much, and he was going to walk through Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland puts on the performance of a lifetime, beats Israel Adesanya, and fast forward, loses his title to DDP, fighting again here in February. He hasn't done anything all that impressive since then. And I think he's going to lose again this upcoming February. And so, if we look at his career as a whole, the one-hit wonder is going to be his performance against Israel Adesanya. Not much of note before that or after that. Next, Leon Edwards. Now, I'm not saying that Leon has not had good performances, right? He has. He beat Colby Covington. He beat Usman twice. He beat Diaz. He looked pretty good in the first fight against Bilal Muhammad. He's had good performances, right? But let's be honest with ourselves. Like, there isn't any one of the fights that he's had where, like, you want to go back and rewatch it, right? Where it is in competition for Fight of the Year, where it is in competition for Performance of a Lifetime, with the exception of the headshot dead kick KO against Kamaru Usman, who is beating him, you know, the MMA equivalent of a Hail Mary kick. It lands, he's the champ, the rest is history. But was there anything of note that Leon did before that? Was there any performance where you're like, damn, he is on his game, he looks good, he is piecing him up, he is dominating every facet of this fight? I don't think so, right? And that's not to say he didn't beat Colby Covington and he didn't beat Usman in the rematch there, right? The trilogy. It's just those performances were not as jaw-dropping, right? Those were not as spectacular. He won decisions. You know, it is what it is. Another person who is on my one-hit wonder list, honestly, and look, you guys are going to come at me for this, you're going to think I'm wrong, right? But Conor McGregor, that 13-second KO of Jose Aldo was kind of his entire career and his entire level of stardom rose to the level of superstardom because of that fight, because of the build-up to that fight. And that's not to say, right, he's not still the biggest name in the sport. That's not to say he didn't do a lot to build the sport. The Conor versus Khabib fight, the two Poirier fights, all of these things. But it was that particular performance that got everyone thinking, okay, like, he is the real deal. He is going to be great. It's what propelled him into that fight. Some of those fights with Nate Diaz were good. All of these things, right? But if you were to look at, you know, every single thing he has done just in the fight game, I don't think you'd be as impressed if it weren't for, like, that specific knockout, because I'm pretty sure he was supposed to lose that. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I wasn't a diehard fan back then, right? But from what I've read, I think he was supposed to lose that, and he knocked out Aldo in 13 seconds. So that's another one where it's like this one-hit wonder propelled him to the boxing, and then ever since the boxing, it's kind of just he's been on the decline, right? As soon as he got to that level of fame and that level of money, he's never been the same. Buckley a little bit, right? Like that back kick that he did, that sort of ninja-esque thing at 185, that might be one of the coolest knockouts I've ever seen in my whole life. And really, like, that kind of put his name on the map. That being said, he's been on a run lately at 170, so I'm not prepared to necessarily call him a one-hit wonder in the sense that, like, he's only done one cool thing, because he's had a couple impressive wins. His win over Colby is another one that's pretty impressive, but you know, that kick is going to be one of the top of his highlight reel forever. Another example of a one-hit wonder. Really and truly, Colby Covington. He had that first fight with Kamaru Usman where they went toe-to-toe and he lost, right? Like, a lot of people are saying this, that Colby Covington, really, when everyone looks back on his career, they're going to be like, he had a really close fight with the second greatest welterweight of all time. Once. That's what people are going to say. And that's what people are going to be talking about. So he's another example of a one-hit wonder, right? Like, what has he done since then? He beats Masvidal. He beat a washed Woodley, a washed Masvidal, right? You know, Robbie Lawler, I think, was his best performance, but he was past his prime at that point. Like, he hasn't beaten anybody in the top 15. You know, I really don't think that when all is said and done, like, Colby Covington's legacy, I don't think he has any sort of claim to fame other than his trash talk, right? Another example of this is Cody Garbrandt in his fight against Dominic Cruz, where he absolutely just dominates him, finishes him, and since then, like, you know, he's been mid at best, right? And that's the thing, right? It's like, clearly this is a tough sport, and clearly all these guys have had other performances where they've done well, where they've done okay, where they've done this, where they've done that, but like these were kind of the things that I would say put them on the map, right? That really accentuated their talents as a fighter, that really got everyone, you know, saying their name, that put them in the position of being a champion. And at the end of the day, you know, right here, right now, since that one performance, have they really done anything noteworthy, right? Have they really done anything to, you know, cause fans' jaws to drop? And my argument to you would be no. No, they haven't, right? They've done some interesting things, some things that were notable, but nothing will build up to those big moments, those big fights that they had at that one time. Do you agree with my list? Is there anything else I should add? Should I make a part 2? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.